I'm Zach Rath from Montreal's K103.7 FM radio. Every day I have the pleasure of working alongside Paul Grafe and Java Jacobs, but today, I go solo. Joining me in a few minutes is a man from England who now at 42 years of age has documented his life's experiences to tell a story that epitomizes the underdog. Here's a summary. Jason Canton was born in Essex in England in June of 1971. By the age of 4, with his parents and younger brother, they moved further north to Boston in Lincolnshire. Already at the age of 5, his sense of direction was first shown through his fascination of American TV shows in Hollywood. But it was at the age of 11 when a major turning point emerged after watching the movie Rocky II. He soon found himself reading the life story of Sylvester Stallone, and it was here a little boy was shown the powers of self-belief, discipline, and determination. By the age of 14, Jason intuitively knew that he himself had his own story to tell. Now 30 years later, Jason's story has evolved to a whole new level, and with this lifelong project, appropriately called Follow Your Heart, a true story, reaches the level Jason's aiming for, Follow Your Heart could be set before the Hollywood cameras anytime soon. Joining me now is Jason Canton to shed some more light on a story that he clearly states is quite literally telling itself.
Jason, I'd like to start by asking what exactly gripped you about television at such a young age?
It was really the glamour, the glitz, the whole Hollywood scenario, the palm trees, the blue skies. Then you combine that with the fictitious characters.
Sure.
I mean, the shows that were involved for me that had a major impact were things like The $6 Million Man, The Man from Atlantis, The Fall Guy, all of the primetime shows.
At age 14, you knew you had a story.
Right.
How could you see that far ahead at such a young age?
That's a very good question. This is something that it's very, very difficult to explain. It's kind of like somebody who, like the Michelangelos of the world and the things that they've produced, and all these great artists, or people that they just innately understand something about themselves, that they are here to do something.
Okay.
They're not quite sure how they came to that understanding or that conclusion, but they just knew it, and that was very much myself.
Sylvester Stallone, clearly the motivation that's driving you to capture your lifelong dream of creating a motion picture.
Right.
What can you tell us about him that we wouldn't necessarily know?
I was incredibly inspired by this man when I started to read about his life, and his obstacles started literally from the day he was born. He was born with facial paralysis. He had a forceps delivery and it severed one side of his face. He had the bone disease rickets as a child growing up. He was very much what you might call a troubled child.
So you were a troubled child?
Yeah, I think my parents might vouch for that.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty
understood.
much. You know, but so that, I suppose in that sense there was elements of him that I found I could identify with.
You first went to the United States when you were 21 years old. Along your journey, tell me, what were some of the low points?
There was a lot of depression along the way. When I spent 5 years in America, in New York and LA, and it was very much a reality check for me, because the whole idea of this dream at the age of 14 was primarily born out of naivety and innocence, in some sense, because it was just so extreme. But although it was still very real to me.
Mm-hmm.
But being in America, it changed all that. All of a sudden, the dream of being into movies and whatever else, and then the reality of living it and trying to sustain yourself on a daily basis, you're talking a whole different reality now.
Did you have any support along the way?
I met some good friends out there who helped me out and tried to keep my head above water, but ultimately, no, it was me trying to take the opportunities that I was given and doing the best that I could with what I had.
It sounds like a roller coaster. So
Big time.
Tell me about some high points.
That was, of course, evolved a lot around the way things were unfolding for me under the terms of like synchronicity, which is another element to this story. I met a lot of big names, celebrities, over at Planet Hollywood in New York. I worked on Demolition Man in '93, so that was incredible. I mean,
Tell us about some other connections that you made in terms of the industry and in terms of people that are willing to help this come to real life.
At the age of 16, I wrote to 80 different film companies, both production and distribution, in and around the London area, merely asking for advice. Not one person could help, with the exception of one, which turned out to be Carlo Casar from Carolco Pictures, who at the time turned out to be the producers of Rambo.
Wow.
So there were a lot of established names that I'd met. So it's very, very strange how all the people that I've met along the way,
things happen for a reason, right?
Everything's kind of coming together now. With the people that I've met, the lessons that I've learned, the places that I've been, it's been just truly an extraordinary story. This thing is quite literally just as you mentioned earlier, it's telling itself.
Okay.
So all the time, my objective is to go to Sylvester Stallone and say, look, this is what I have. This is the script, this is the story, this is why I believe it will work. Here are the references of interest, and are you interested, yes or no? It's very, very unique.
How hard it is to get in touch with him?
And this is playing the waiting game, and it was a hard lesson because you're thinking you've got something genuine and sincere here,
Sure.
and you've put 30 years plus of your life into it. You don't even get a phone call.
Amazing that you've continued to push forward, though, if I might say.
Yeah, thanks. I'm a firm believer. The more you know about yourself, the further you'll go. You know, but again, and that's why, hence the title, Follow Your Heart. What it is that you want to do, what's the sense of direction that you want to go in, and how you're going to go about doing that. And I hope that this film will provide somewhat of a blueprint to that kind of question. You know.
Why do you stand out?
The subject matter and the timing. The subject matter speaks for itself in the sense that we're talking about a little boy to begin with who has a role model, who is a great positive influence. We are then looking at this little boy wanted, the direction he wanted his life to go in, why he came to such conclusions, what is it about his role models that make him all this.
Okay.
My intentions are to go to all the choices that I've made, all the experiences that I've had, and the way I've interpreted these experiences while still trying to maintain my objective. So it's very much, it's not just an individual overcoming the odds to win the day. It's a process of how. What about the actual thought process? What about the emotional roller coaster? What about the actual fuel that everybody has every day in order to get through their everyday life?
Not just the glory, but the guts as well.
It's everything involved. And it really is a question of finding out more about yourself. These are the kind of elements that I want to bring forward. And above all, when it comes to the timing, just a little bit refreshing to be able to go into a movie to see something talking of this kind of subject matter, rather than seeing, guts being ripped out.
People can identify with the story.
Yeah, they could perhaps come outside and start and maybe just feel a little bit better about themselves, and think, my God, this kid came from nothing or no one. He's no different to anybody else, and that's going to be the cause of what I believe to be a very powerful story. Because people are going to be thinking, wow, but he hasn't done anything. All he's done is listen to this. He's literally followed his heart. He's met the right people. He's interpreted life in a certain way. He's interpreted his experiences. He's learnt the lessons accordingly. And he's continued to carry on. And all he's done is not quit. So basically, the whole thing is turning the so-called impossible to become the possible. That's why it makes it such a humane story. It makes it very real. But it's very, very important that we really do stick to the facts here, because this is quite literally an autobiographical, documented account of an individual living his life story, and it's being told as he goes along. It's literally a story telling itself.
Which is still yet to be played out.
Precisely, and this is half the magic, because there's no ending. Sylvester Stallone comes along and says, you know what, let's do it. The other magic now will be, how do you want to end it? So let's make it as glamorous and as heart-wrenching as possible, as inspirational as possible, because whatever we decide to do, it'll be fact. So there's no fiction from start to finish. So it really, you create your own reality. So my point will be proved, should Sly decide to do this. This is what makes it so unique, and this is what makes it so different. And that ultimately is the message I'm really trying to convey. It's the power, the potential of the individual through knowing exactly what he wants and why he wants it.
Jason, amazing how real it is, your enthusiasm, feeding right off it. It's been a real pleasure. Keep following your heart, and we look forward to seeing you on the big screen in the near future.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
It's really been a pleasure. Thanks.
My pleasure. Thanks a lot.
I believe in the power of dreams even more strongly today. So I say to all of you who are pursuing a dream, if you truly want it bad enough, it just may come true. I'm living proof. Thank you very much.